Reality therapist perception.
Hello and welcome back to Reactivity TV, where we give our therapist takes and perspectives to all the trending shows and movies that you are watching. We're watching them too. I'm Amy Albero.
I'm Catherine Van Eyck. One show that's trending right now is The Summer I Turned Pretty. Season 2 is out, but I'm late to the game, so just watched season 1. So we have to talk about season 1, and then we'll get into season 2 in another Reactivity TV.
Yes. Can I just say, this is what I love about this job, because I've been so obsessed with this show that I found a reason to make Catherine watch it so I had someone to talk about it with.
I'm so glad that you did, because it was like, oh my God, one, it was like nostalgic. And 2, I just like love teen dramas and can't let them go. So it was a great excuse to watch.
I did definitely have this like anxiety, and I don't know if you picked up on it in our messages, but like I was all about it. And then I like started to get self-conscious, like, oh my God, what if it sucks? Like, what if it's really not that good? What, like maybe Catherine's going to hate it. So I was like, why don't you just watch the first episode and tell me what you think? We could totally watch this other show if you want. And I was so relieved when you texted me and you're like, yeah, no, we're good.
I'm sorry, I should have given you updates as I was watching, because I would have been like, Amy, this is my dream come true.
This is a purely selfish endeavor that I just really wanted to talk about this. And the other thing that I will say is that, well, I guess we should say, if you haven't watched the first season of The Summer I Turned Pretty, first, what are you doing? Go watch it. Second, if you haven't, we're going to spoil the crap out of this season. So just beware. We will not talk about season 2. We will come back another time to talk about season 2. And even though I've watched season 2 more than once, I will not use my perspective to talk about this season.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I also have reached a level of obsession where I've read all 3 books basically over the last 2 weeks, because I just need.
You're number one fan.
It's embarrassing because I'm too old for this. But here I am, crushing on a TV teenage boy.
It happens.
Okay. So, well, so where should we begin?
First, I think we just need to talk a little candidly about who we think.
Conrad or Team Jeremiah?
Yeah. What team are you on?
I'm Team Conrad 1,000%. I'm all in on Conrad. Connie, love him.
I am too. I want to have like a little like asterisk with that though.
Okay.
Because I remembered when you said to like that, when you had suggested that we watch the show, that you had mentioned that there were teams, and like I only remembered the name Conrad when you said that. I did not remember Jeremiah. So then, because this whole like beginning part of the season, she's with Cameron, I'm thinking that that's the other team. So I'm totally blindsided when Jeremiah gets into the mix.
That was Belly.
Yeah, right. I was just as blindsided as Belly. And I was like Team Cameron all the way, just because I'm not attracted to the like brooding teenage boy who hasn't like figured out his emotions yet. And like I'm just like so blech when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, oh my God, here's this boy who's just super adorable and super in love with you or whatever, in like with you. And it's just like perfect. He's this perfect little package. I mean, Cameron, adorable. So I was team Cameron and was just like, you got to forget about this boy that you've been in love with forever. Like, who hasn't had a crush on their older brother's friends? Just get over it. So I will say that. But yes, later on, learning about Conrad, learning about why he's hurting and what's going on for him. The therapist in me, taking on there. Yeah, I was like, all right, he's the one here. I don't like this idea of Jeremiah and Belly at all. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. No.
Yeah, they're friends. It seems like in this season, the reason that Jeremiah, it's more competitive from Jeremiah's perspective, the way he kind of tries to sabotage their connection. There's so much jealousy. So it doesn't feel sincere, like from Jeremiah. It feels competitive.
Yeah. And to be honest, when he lit off that firework towards them, which, by the way, very dangerous. My gosh. What are we doing here? That was serious. When he did that, I didn't see it as he's doing this because he wants to stop them from being together because he likes Belly. I was seeing it as my brother gets everything that he wants. He's good at everything. And he hasn't been himself this summer. Like, I need to take some control here. He gets this attention. He gets all of these things. So I didn't see it as I need to insert myself because I want to be with Belly at all. So I was thrown off by that.
Yeah, I mean, and there is like a rivalry for sure that, again, just from Jeremiah's side. And I think we learn through inference, right? Like that the dad, Adam, favors Conrad, that Conrad is this great athlete. He's very intelligent. He's, really liked, likable, that kind of thing. And it seems like Jeremiah plays the role of like the jester, he's, very light and funny. And I think everybody loves him too in a different way, but he's not taken as seriously as Conrad. And I can imagine that gets really exhausting and probably does create a lot of resentment, feeling like you're living in your older brother, who's not that much older, by the way, who's only a year older than you, shadow. And so I could understand that when you insert like the object of one's affection, like in the mix too, that it just increases this frustration of like, Conrad gets everything.
Yeah.
So, yep, Connie, I'm in. Still in for Connie. Well, and the other thing that I was really thinking about as we watched this first season was our Wishing You Well episode on Does Love Last Forever? And when we talked about first loves, and I was just thinking about Belly. Conrad is Belly's first love, and how, again, intense that is, how not totally rational it is, how consuming it is. And then I was, again, and there was a part of me that was like, do I love this idea of Conrad? Because it kind of reminds me of my experience being, 15 or 16, really in love with a boy that was kind of giving me the runaround. Like, is that why I'm into this? Because it feels so familiar. So I had to also do a little self-reflection about what it is about Conrad that I'm really into.
Well, I mean, even if it is, like, so what? Right? Like, I'm not team Conrad and team Belly together forever. I mean, sure, like in fantasy world of this show, like, okay, maybe, but like, no, I just want them to like have their run and see how it goes, see where it goes. Like, he's gonna go off to college. Like, what's going to change? And,
right.
I mean, life happens, but for the time being, yeah.
See what happens. Yeah. Right. Instead of having this like unrequited love situation, like, let's just see, like, maybe you don't even like him when you like actually get to know him. I don't know, in October or December when he doesn't have a tan, like, who knows?
Or if he cuts his hair and he like can't like put it behind his ear anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that I will spoil season 2. Don't like Conrad's haircut in season 2.
No, he has a haircut in season 1. Oh.
It's like a little short. Anyway, I'll give you a little taste of season 2, Conrad. A little too short of hair.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Not gonna lie, it did ruin it for me a little bit.
Was it intentional to try to get you on another team?
I don't know. Season 2 is really good. So we will be back to talk about that. But okay, so that's the kind of love story. I think I want to go to your Cam Cameron point though for a second, because like he is the quintessential like good on paper guy where there's just like no chemistry from Belly's end. And
there couldn't be. She didn't let it happen.
There's no opportunity. Yeah. There was none. And I think she wasn't honest with herself and like trying to give it a fair go, but her heart was clearly still with Conrad then. And I did appreciate how she did tell him up front, like, I like someone else, basically. Like she didn't lead him on, which I appreciated. Because that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're like 16 and the first guy that you likes you back. Like there could have been plenty of reasons to ride out that summer crush for Belly, and she didn't, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay, so what stuck out to you?
Well, like I said, Conrad had a lot going on. And at first it just looked like one thing. And, you quickly learn that he knows a lot. He knows what's going on with his mom. I don't know if he knows what's going on with his parents, but he definitely knows about his mom's cancer. And that's obviously taking a huge toll on him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where like reading the books is not helpful because I'm trying to remember where I learned this, but I think we can infer, just given the distance that Conrad has placed between he and Adam and how much his mood changed when he learned that Adam wasn't going to be coming for the 4th of July. Like, I think we got a glimpse of what this like old Conrad was kind of like light and fun and up for anything. So I'm going to infer that he knew something about what was going on with his parents and knew something about the affair. Right.
Well, I was thinking he either knew about the affair or he just didn't like his dad's approach to his mom's treatment or lack thereof, and his distance, because clearly he's not around much to begin with. And Belly alludes to that in the beginning when she's just telling about the story of going to the summer house and how the dads come on the weekends or the dads like come on 4th of July. So the dads are not there too often. And I kind of got the impression that wasn't just a summer thing, that was probably a year-round kind of deal. So I was thinking, okay, Conrad either thinks that his dad's like not invested enough in his mom, or maybe he does know. What else is happening?
Yeah, right. And I think, again, watching this from a therapist perspective, seeing the heaviness that Conrad carried with him throughout the season I had a lot of empathy and compassion for Conrad, but I felt so frustrated with the adults, with Susanna and Laurel. And because like he is demonstrating the quintessential characteristics of depression, especially teenage depression. He has quit activities, has discontinued activities that he once enjoyed. He's keeping to himself. He's engaging in substance use. He's very irritable. He's shut down. He's like completely, they're talking about this drastic change, this elevated moodiness. And so like this is, and we keep hearing Susanna say, It's been going on for months. It's been going on since the spring. And that's really concerning to notice such a drastic change in a child. And you're the only approach is I'm just going to give it space. And I'll get to Susanna and all of that in a second, but those are significant signs. And we see throughout the series, like he's clearly holding a lot of anxiety. We see him have panic attacks. We see him really struggle with carrying the weight of this burden. And it just made me feel very, again, compassionate for Conrad, and also made me feel quite, like, again, frustrated with the adults, because I think that their assumption was, oh, this is just a breakup. And oftentimes I know in my work with kids and teens, really consistently, parents have no idea, and that's not fair, have very little idea or a very inaccurate idea of what is actually going on with their kid. If they're seeing a change in a way that their kid is acting or reacting or responding, the reason they think it is, the reason the parent thinks it is pretty distant from what the teen actually comes in and says. And this was such a good display of that discrepancy, and how many times Conrad tried to communicate to his dad, to Laurel, he finally did, to Cleveland, thankfully, because he kept pressing and kept asking and was so compassionate in saying, like, I see that you're holding a lot, you've got to let it out. But how many times was he shut down with, oh, I've been through a breakup? Like, if Laurel had just waited like a beat longer, Conrad would have said something.
Mm-hmm. And so what's actually on his mind, what's actually bothering him, and not what she thought, and not what Susanna thought.
Exactly. Not what their assumptions were, or maybe what they would have wished it was. And I think that, going back to Susanna, of course, she's preoccupied. She's dealing with her own health, the stress around that, the shift in her marriage, like wanting to create this perfect summer, probably not wanting to invite the reality that her kid knows or is stressed or hurting or whatever. And so I could understand, like, the denial, or wanting to maybe be a little bit aloof, or to want it to just be about a breakup. And so, like, I have a lot of empathy for Susanna there. Like, I'm not blaming her in any way.
No, I mean, so many more times that, and I like that you're just bringing up how parents have this inaccurate idea of what's actually causing their child or their teen to be feeling a certain way. So much of the time, it is what's going on with the parents, and they're really unaware of that, or in denial of it, and would rather there be something else going on, either externally or like sometimes it's like thinking that there's something like fundamentally wrong with their kid, and rather than looking at themselves and thinking, well, what's going on between me and my partner, or what's going on with me, that, like, kids are smart, and, like, of course teenagers are smart, and this kid's about to go to Brown or something, like, he's really smart. Mm-hmm. So kids are really smart and really intuitive to what's going on with their parents. I have no idea how Conrad found out about his mom, or found out about his parents, but he did. And sometimes that's not like through something that's so apparent, but something that he can just feel, and he can see, and he can just infer. Clearly, I mean, she'd gone through chemo before. Now she's sleeping a lot. Now she's, whatever. And so whether he like knew or he just knew, it's eating at him, mm-hmm. and rightfully so. But so there's so many more times where parents are looking to their kids to have a problem that has nothing to do with them. Yes. When more often than not, it has everything to do with them.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like I often have said to the families that I've worked with, kids' behaviors and again, reactivity is often a barometer for what is going on at home or within like the family system. And it's really hard to hear that. And I understand why, but yeah, especially when your main environment, your main source of relationship and that kind of input is from your parents or from your caregivers, your home life, of course, that's going to be one of the main things that brings like stressors to the surface.
Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to Conrad and his emotional roller coaster that he's having this summer is that when he does finally confide in Cleveland after that panic attack on the boat, how much relief he felt and how much weight that took off to just tell one person when he'd been trying to, like you said, all summer to tell somebody. Obviously, it's not an easy thing to talk about, or else he would have done that a long time ago. And yet he had built this relationship with this man that he finally felt like he can talk to him. And they had this mutual respect. But he also had this, like adult to child respect for him. And it seemed like the perfect person for him to share this with, being that Cleveland had expressed so much interest in what had been going on for Conrad during the summer and had also confided in him about what was going on for him. So he also felt that, reciprocity going on too. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot there that allowed Conrad to feel like this was the right environment for him.
Totally. Yeah. There was like a vulnerability matching.
Yes.
And that was what was awesome about Cleveland is like, he was so intuitive to like say like, okay, well, if you're not going to tell me about you, I'll tell you a little bit about me and see if that opens the door. And I really love that. And you're right. Like it was so visible, the relief we see, like how like it literally, he seemed so buoyant, like walking into, I think the next scene or next most recent scene after that was he asking Belly to the dance, like, or asking Belly to the ball and like kind of being a little bit goofy and nervous, but he seemed so, it was like the dark circles under his eyes kind of evaporated. And yeah, how powerful that can be to just talk about or share what's going on. Mm-hmm. That actually brings me to something that I wanted to bring up, which is the role of control, particularly like when it comes to transitions generally, but more as it relates to grief. And in that conversation with Cleveland, Conrad had basically said, I feel like if I keep it all in, then it won't be real. And then I think it's implied that like, if I talk about it, like then it will make things bad or something like that it will have some negative consequence to talk about. And the superstition that often exists, especially through terminal illness or chronic illness, is so common, and just feeling like I don't want to do anything to make it worse, to make a bad thing happen. Like I've got to just keep things in such a way in order to like hold basically the health of myself or this person in its place. And so it was interesting to see that depicted because I feel like, again, that's so common. And it was so, again, wonderful for Cleveland to say, I liked his expression. It sounds like you're worried to step on a crack, break your mother's back, right? And I was like, I love that because that is such the feeling that Conrad was expressing and that others experience. And just, again, the permission to let it go, to potentially step on a crack. It's not all on you. And I loved that. And we also see this like control seeking behavior with Susanna, who wants complete control over when she's telling people, of who she's telling, of what treatment she's having, of Adam's involvement in her last, days or last summer, and how that isn't actually super rational, right? Like the kids are going to need, and even Laurel says that to her, like the kids are going to need Adam. Like you're going to actually need Adam. So like keeping him at a distance is not actually going to be helpful to you. But again, that search for like control and just wanting as much control over the situation as she can possibly have when this is completely out of her control. Again, that's such a natural urge to have that doesn't always help us, that can be more harmful than helpful.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And especially when something so out of our control is going on that like we're just grasping at anything to make us feel like we can control something. Like she feels like her health is out of her control. She feels like death is inevitable for her. And so instead of focusing on that, instead of focusing on, well, is there anything I can do? Or like, okay, there are these things that I can do, or at least try to do. Let me try to take control of that, because there's still such a question mark behind that. I totally understand how she's not jumping at that, especially since she's been through treatments before. So instead, she's just looking to all of these other elements of her life and her summer and her family to fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I did want to just touch on one thing really quick. Nothing against Belly, but like, why does everyone love her?
What's so magnetic about Belly?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was talking to Christina, our marketing coordinator, about the show, and she was saying how like she and her friends really don't like the main character, and this was before I started watching, or like while I was in the middle of watching, and she's seen the second season too, so I don't know if that plays more of a part in it, but she was saying that like it's giving Rory Gilmore. And I was like,
yes.
Whoa. I mean, I'm just looking at it from first season, like how like everyone's in love with Rory Gilmore, but like why?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just feeling like that now at the end of the season, because now she's had 3 people.
Belly's in her villain era. But I guess, again, to be empathic and to be, compassionate toward Belly, in her experience, this first book, this show is called The Summer I Turned Pretty. She's always been kind of like the runt of the litter. Like she doesn't feel as pretty or as attractive or as appealing as her best friend, Taylor. Yeah. She's never been taken seriously by these 3 boys, one of whom is her brother, who always talks about how disgusting she is. And so she's finally getting attention and feeling herself a little bit like, yeah, okay, fine. She looks in the mirror a little bit too much, Conrad. I don't know. She's 16. Let her do it. But I think she's finally like embracing her body for what it is, and like embracing her freckles for what they are, and liking the attention. And so she is, I think she admits it at the end, like, yeah, she was being a little bit of a fuck girl, but like, it was because she's finally gotten this attention. She's been seen in this light that she's never has been before. And so she's reveling in it.
That's fine for her. I'm just saying, like, why are they all so in love with her?
Why are they all so in love with her? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what is it about her? Like, all of a sudden, okay, she blossomed. Great. But like,
yeah.
What else?
I don't know. I mean, I have to say she's kind of like bratty. Like she is like the younger sister of the group. And, I guess that's what 15 and 16-year-olds are like. So yeah, I don't really get it either, but maybe I'll ask my 14-year-old nephew and see what he thinks. Well, yeah, it is giving Rory Gilmore.
Yeah. Something I'll take into season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we'll be back with season 2. We'll also be back later in a few weeks with The Golden Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, perhaps The Ultimatum if we have time, or something else. Let us know in the comments what we should be watching, what you plan to watch this fall. We will be all over it. Any excuse for me to watch TV and talk about it, I'm game. But we will see you next time.